film when I was young that changed my life during a very traumatic time when I honestly didn't really want to be here anymore. And I was about 13 years old, going through a very traumatic time. This film changed my life, took me out of feeling so depressed and alone and not knowing who I was or what I was here for to being like, that's it.
A big part of myself, like my soul or my higher self, my relationship with God, like I knew that this was not the way that it was supposed to be. There was this deep knowing at such an early age. But also a fire built inside of me so early on of like, I will not recreate this.
What's going on, Thrive Hive? It's Revan and Isaiah here with Rachel and Emilio of Relationship Renegades. And so I just want to be real honest. We've just met. And so I'm really excited. We've had a little bit of a conversation before getting started here. But these guys are amazing. I feel like we're meeting like our mirror selves in so many ways. Totally. And so I'm really excited about this conversation and talk to you guys. I know Isaiah's done a lot more, I don't know, research,
awesome.
recon. She's been reconning you guys a little bit.
Yes,
so.
I've been like cyber stalking you just a little, in advance of this. And you guys are in for such a treat today that we're going to drop in not only about the beautiful things that you're doing for couples and with couples to bring humor and play, but in traditional Thrive Hive show style, we would love to go to the ugly. We would love to go to the dark, to the shadow, to the pain points. And so that would be where I'd love to start our conversation. If you guys could share with us, like individually, before you even got together, what were some of the drivers? Like, how did you feel inside your body? Not necessarily what people think that you're thinking or feeling, because, when you're beautiful, people assume that everything in your life is great and you're happy, right?
So that's so fun that they think that.
So fun that they think that. But can we talk about what it actually really felt like at some point when you were maybe at your lowest to be inside of you? And then we'll go into, there was a moment of shift and the becoming into who you are today, that you're able to share wisdom with vulnerability and strength and then come together as a couple and do it. It's killer. But it didn't start here. Like when people hear you and they see you, you're going to be in awe of them, just like I'm already in awe of them. And it's really important for everyone to know what it was like before.
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
So that was a lot there. I know it's not even a question, but I trust
I got it before you said it. I was like, yes.
Ready.
Yes.
I know.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
Yes.
Yeah, do you want to kick it off or do you want me to?
Ladies first.
I love that you asked this question. I love dropping in deep right away because I often say this. I'm like, gosh, if any of my exes even knew that I had a relationship brand, they would be like, what the heck? Like, she has that? Because I used to suck at them. And I think that's why it was such a pain to purpose story and why I deeply care so much about sharing all the lessons I've learned and the things that have helped us both find and create and nurture such a healthy, supportive, playful relationship. And I loved on one of your guys' shows, someone was you had said a comment, like some people asked like, oh, I wish we had what you had. And you said, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally. And I so resonate with that because yes, people often see us playing and being silly and doing all these things. They don't realize what it takes to get to a place where you can be so playful and so vulnerable with your partner. It is so much deep work, both before you meet and throughout your entire life. One of my favorite sayings is there is no there. There is no there that anyone will ever get to where you're just done, because that you wouldn't be a human anymore.
Totally.
And quite frankly, you'd probably get super bored,
For sure.
And so there's so much to say here. I think when it comes to in the relationship space, I have a pretty crazy story of seeing a film when I was young that changed my life during a very traumatic time when I honestly didn't really want to be here anymore. And I was about 13 years old, going through a very traumatic time. This film changed my life. And I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to act, I want to dance, I want to inspire people the way this 2-hour experience in a film just literally took me out of feeling so depressed and alone and not knowing who I was or what I was here for to being like, that's it. And this kind of crazy hero's journey of ultimately ended up manifesting the lead role in the sequel to that film 6 years after I saw it.
Wow.
And that was my first big acting job in a Sony Pictures film. And so I talk a lot about the long version of that story, all the ups and downs and twists and turns, all the like no after no after no, all the terrifying things of moving to LA when I was 18, not knowing what I was doing, all the sleepless nights, feeling broken, getting so many agents and people telling me I'm not good enough, I'm not ready, and just having to figure out a way to continue to take brave action, even though I was literally terrified every single step of the way. And then even when I got the film, terrified, because then you have all this pressure on you. And so I say that to set this all up of I was able to quote unquote manifest or co-create, as I like to call it, some pretty incredible experiences in my career. But what I found as I got that success, and another, big film, Bring It On, that I landed, which again was a follow-up to a films that I was obsessed over as a kid, which is a pattern in my career that I don't think is a mistake. But so I was having a lot of success at a pretty young age in big films. And I thought that was going to be like, I made it and I'm it and I'm good now and I'm happy forever and life is awesome. And that's not what it was. It was really heightened emotional experiences that felt very fantastical and amazing to huge drops in deep depression. Wow. And it was hard. And one of the biggest lessons I learned along the way was, holy shit, my whole life has been basically to prove that I'm good enough. Like I'm fighting so hard to achieve these big dreams and I'm actually making them happen. But I feel so lonely. I feel so anxious all the time. I'm battling panic attacks and not feeling like I, sleep and not knowing how to get out of bed and these soul crushing breakups that because I just didn't have, and I think a lot of people don't have what we would call like relationship technology. We want these filet mignon kind of relationships with hamburger skills. Yes. We are not taught it's one of my favorite quotes that I heard that I just repeat all the time because I'm like, we're expecting ourselves, and this is my big realization of like, I had been studying so many things when it comes to mindset and manifestation and law of attraction ever since I was like 14, but nobody taught me relationships. I didn't read any relationship books or conferences or workshops. And I wondered why I struggled so much in relationships. And it wasn't until I finally, I feel like hit a rock bottom moment in my life after like a huge blowout of a very toxic relationship. And I just was like, just sobbing, crying. And I had that realization and I was like, fuck it, I am going all in on relationships. Like I am no longer going to experience this pain anymore. Like I cannot take another experience like this. I'm going to learn. I'm going to like just immerse my life into it. And I did. And one of the hardest pills to swallow was I thought that I kept dating all these guys that had jealousy issues or trust issues. And like, it was a lot of their fault. And the biggest thing I learned was, I actually had honesty issues. And so of course they would have trust issues because I wasn't being fully honest. And, it's not just about me. It's a two thing, right? Yeah. But most of the time, our shadows, our insecurities manifest in unhealthy behaviors that is the perfect trigger for the other person. And my other favorite quote about relationships is that every relationship you ever call into your life ever is just an opportunity for you to heal your unfinished business.
Will you say that again?
Every relationship you ever call into your life is an opportunity to heal your unfinished business.
I love that.
And that awareness has really helped me understand, not just in intimate relationships like the one with me and Amelio, but also friendships, experiences with family members, business partnerships, and every opportunity. And even when we got together, it was this experience of, wow, we've both done so much work at this point. This is finally someone. And when I met him, I was like, oh, you're my person. This is it. Like, let's go. And there was this initial experience of, can it even be this good? Is this allowed? Like, can it be this like supportive and like, this is what a healthy experience feels like. Like, this is the best gift ever. And I want everyone to have this and I want to help people have this. But it also was a big realization of my exact wounds were the perfect setup for his exact wounds. And it was the opportunity to either have another huge blowout again, or if we could both get on the same page and heal and process and learn and grow, an opportunity for even deeper connection on a level that we've never experienced before. And that just keeps happening in our relationship, which is really beautiful. So there is no there. Like there's no there that we'll ever get to. It's just going to keep going. But every new time we do have very hard experiences and one of our wounds pop up and one of us is very activated, it always is an opportunity to grow into this deeper level of love. And we just went through something recently like that. And it's been this it's every time it's like this cool experience. I'm like, wow, you're even more amazing to me now. Like you're even more incredible to me now. Totally. But it's only because we were able to get through something very hard. But I'm very passionate about if we didn't have the tools and processes that we've learned along the way, we wouldn't be able to get through them. And so that's why I think it's just so important, the work that you guys are doing, what we're doing, just more people. We need everybody to be on board of like, yeah, let's all get really good at relationship technology or skill sets so that our whole world can shift, because everything is centered around relationships.
Oh, wow. I knew you could nail that, by the way. with no question even asked. Very pro level. Well done. Oh, that's so beautiful. And what you're describing, I call the up spiral. I'm sure I swiped that from someone. It was not original. I don't know who I stole it from. But essentially the work looks like this. Because you just feel like, oh, cool, I'm getting it, we're doing amazing. And then it's like loop, and it loops down. But as we're doing that, we're still spiraling up. And we're going into greater consciousness and into greater connection with one another and with self. And even when we're doing the down looping, it's like, okay, hang in there. This is for my growth. Like, I know that this is going to bring us closer. I know it's going to make us better, and it will turn around as long as, and I hear you echoing in like your embodied life story of this, as long as we lean into the thing and we're committed to growing through it instead of just going through it.
Yes.
And that's like a total tenet of how we live our lives, with business failures and collapses and challenges and parenting challenges and everything. It's like, this isn't happening to us, it's happening for us. And even next level is it's happening through us, right? Once we get to that understanding. Yeah. But also it's like we're growing through this. So no matter what it is, it's gonna serve us in some level. And I love that you honor that and you share it, because there's more and more people, I feel like, that are brave enough to come out of the woodwork and be willing to share our pain points and our vulnerability. And it really choked me up when at the beginning, like, you acknowledged your self-worth issues.
Yeah,
and you know, that's also how we lean into relationships that suck, because we don't know that it can be better, and we don't necessarily we don't believe that we deserve it to be better.
No.
You know, like, this is the best I'm going to get. Because often how especially women are feeling in these relationships. And so thank you for saying it, because it's like shining the light on the monster in the closet. Yeah. Once we acknowledge that thinking pattern, that maladaptive thinking, then we can just be like, is that true? No, it's not fucking true. Like, duh. But like when it's silent and we don't identify it because it's a feeling and not an identified thought, then we can't heal it.
Yes.
But the minute we call it out, like, oh, I keep choosing assholes, I must deserve them. And then we look at it like on paper and you're like, I'm not that dumb, you know? I'm not a serial killer. Of course I deserve love and honor and tenderness in my life. That's when the healing really gets to begin and we can lean in.
100%.
So I love that you're just like claiming it and putting it out there that we do deserve that healing.
Yeah, I believe so.
And you've stepped into it. And now you teach others to do the same thing.
Yes.
So.
It's so cool too, because you said that you had an honesty problem, right?
Big time.
And that was a thing. And the commonality there, or maybe not commonality, but the thing that stuck out to me there was you decided to realize that, okay, if I don't fix me, no matter what I do, no matter who they are, they could be amazing, they could have their own faults, and we're all human. Yeah. But you're bringing that version of you into the relationship, so you're still going to keep getting the same result.
100%.
You know, I remember when we were going through our stuff, I was just like, the first thing I thought about, or maybe not the first thing, but it became really, really apparent to me, like, it doesn't matter what she does. It doesn't matter what direction she goes or whatever. I obviously wanted it to work. You know, I was coming through that lens, but I also realized no matter what, like, nothing happens in a vacuum. She didn't get there on her own. And so I had to look and say, what version of me caused that? And what was my role in it? Because if I don't fix that, if I don't discover what that is and heal that part of me, whether this works or not, I don't want to bring that shit into my next relationship. I don't want to repeat this cycle. You know what I mean? But I think it's so easy to just put it on the other person, put it on our partner, and kind of be the victim, be the scapegoat, be what, you know, like, or scapegoat onto them. And so amazing that you did that.
Thanks. Yeah, it's really hard. You know, I want to give him an opportunity to share, but there's so much more I could say about that, because I had every opportunity that we were perfectly set up. And so many times I wanted to repeat old patterns with this one. And every part of my body was like so terrified that if I actually told him the real truth, that he would leave me. And especially when I feel like I finally found my person, it was even more terrifying. And we'll talk more about that later, but I want you to get to share my love.
Yeah.
I love it.
But I mean, it's true though. Like with coming together. She had the trust issues. I'm sorry, the honesty issues. But then I had trust issues because like 2 relationships prior was like cheated on twice.
Oh boy.
And like with people I thought I was going to marry, and it was just like. And then it was the first time dating an actress as well. And then first, of course, things can get stacked. Like, so I'm on film sets, like, a month into the relationship. I'm in Austin, Texas. She's in LA. We're doing long distance for 10 months, back and forth. We don't go longer than 2 weeks. We try to make it work, but basically on film sets, she's on 2 films and 2 of them she has sex scenes and intimate scenes.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I don't know how you do it.
We talk about this all the time.
yeah,
We'll
yeah.
have to circle back.
Hard no.
Yeah.
Hard
He's going to
no.
want to know how you guys do this.
it's
Okay,
really
we'll put a pin in it.
we'll put a
We'll
pin
go
on it.
back.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
last thing I'll say right before the pin though is like, and it was like, when she was cheating on me, it was like, from
not me.
Not
I was
her.
not cheating
not-
on
not
you.
Rachel.
Your
The ex
previous
was
is
cheating
it was
on
like
you.
this thing of like between the hours of 10 p.m. and let's say 4 a.m. when she would come back, right? And the only reason I say that is because she had to be on night shoots on these from like 10 p.m. to 10 a.m. And then she would come back at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m. And so like I'm having to be like, okay, there's some activation within me. How am I going to handle it this time? And so yeah, we'll put a pin into it. But it was a beautiful kind of ignition and engagement into like, okay, did I learn the lessons? Did she learn the lessons? How are we going to like unravel this in a beautiful way and not explode, but find a deeper connection?
Right. And not keep repeating the old things.
So it was a beautiful thing the way it happened. But
I love it.
Yeah.
So can we circle back to you
Yes,
and
let's
get
go to
your
you.
origin story
Yes.
of the beautiful pain that
for
existed
sure.
in your life?
100%.
I'm not minimizing
No,
it.
no,
I love
But
that.
once
It's
we're
true.
through it, we
It's
laugh,
true.
right?
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah,
and
it
that's
is beautiful pain.
the universal beautiful pain.
Yeah.
And then what brought you to the place of becoming and healing and growing to the point where you deserve to be matched up with the energy of a vibrant, honest, incredible woman like you have.
100%. So my origin story is of domestic violence. So I grew up, in a domestic violence environment where my dad was very abusive to my mom, physically sometimes, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, just like all the ways. So I was just like in terror for 18 years of my life, constantly, not wanting to go to sleep at night because I was afraid of what was going to happen. And then when something did happen, I would go and find my mom or my sister crying somewhere around the house, and I would console them and would just want them to be like safe and okay. And so that was just like constantly the entire like 18 years of my life was like this terror, and I couldn't speak, and I, built up so much anger and resentment, all this kind of things for my dad. However, it was very hard though, because, even growing up during those 18 years, my dad, at like, I don't know, 4th, 5th, 6th grade would also like break down in front of me, where I had to like grow up fast and become kind of like a sort of father figure, or like an adult very quickly, of like, why is he breaking down? He's supposed to be my father. And I'm like, and he would tell me like the worst things, like he had one of the worst childhoods ever. Yeah. And, like nobody just wakes up and becomes a domestic violence person, right? Like,
of course.
Right.
Product of their environment. And especially if you don't heal that and integrate it, right? It's so, he never had any friends. He never had any work. It was just like pumped full of drugs and, raped as a child, and just like all these just things stacked on stacked on stacked on stacked, and never, if you don't heal your childhood traumas, are they going to show up in your relationships? And they did. I got to feel all of that. And so, so I think I remember like at 2nd grade being in the bathroom when all the chaos was happening outside, and just like making a promise to myself. There was 2 parts. It was like one, like a big part of myself, like my soul or my higher self, my relationship with God. Like I knew that this was not the way that it was supposed to be. Like there was this deep knowing at such an early age, but also a fire built inside of me so early on of like, I will not recreate this, And so like, hence started the hero's journey. Which, as an adult started to look like getting into a lot of toxic relationships for lots of reasons, failing forward and doing, the ups and downs and left and rights. and nonstop. Like I've had so many toxic. I joke around, be like, after the 10,000th toxic relationship, I found Rachel, or became the man to attract a woman like Rachel, right? And to not self-sabotage it, etc.
Yeah.
But I did have a lot of toxic relationships, and one of the reasons, or one of the big sort of key points that enabled me to sort of break through a lot of things is, you know, one of my worst core things, my core wound, was like seeing women cry, right? Like seeing women in a hurtful situation. That's all I saw growing up. Yeah. So, you know, subconsciously, I started to attract these women that I thought needed healing and needed help and needed saving, right? Quote unquote.
Yep.
And I wanted to help them and do everything and be the performative masculine to gain that love. So, you know, there's a whole lot of other things with it. You know, at the time I was very much a performative masculine self, where I didn't know it at the time, but, you know, I was a financial analyst, became an independent consultant, could have my cake and eat it too, made a lot of money, traveling around the world, had this like hot girlfriend and all this stuff. But I was also living like toxic lives, a lot of alcohol, some drugs here and there, toxic environments, toxic friends, all these things. And it was just one of these things where I didn't realize it at the time, but I was like wanting to be this type of Superman because I didn't feel good enough, right? I didn't feel good enough. And I was just wanting to I felt like I just needed to go and help a bunch of women, you know? Yeah. And that got into a lot of fights. And what I realized toward the end of the last toxic relationship was, and it's cliche to say, and it sounds cliche, but it's so true. Like I was the one that needed saving. Like I felt like I was trying to save everybody, but like I found out like during my self-development journey, the most deep inner work at that time, because I'm like, why do I keep repeating this? Same as Rachel was talking about. Yeah. And I found out simply because like I didn't love myself. I was always a big giver. I was always trying to give to so many people, but I never like filled up my cup. I never like filled up my own cup. And so the way that it got stacked before the transition was this. So the last girlfriend I had, 3 years, it got stacked. I feel like if you don't pass the test, like God's going to continue to like give them to you over and over.
Repeat.
Yeah, repeat. But then it'll get stacked and stacked and stacked. So the stack was this. Right before I met that girlfriend of mine, her mom had just passed. So she didn't have a mom that was her closest friend, closest everything. Oh, wow. Not a good relationship with the father. Not a good relationship with her sister. Zero friends. Didn't have any money. So like I housed her, paid for her stuff. Was everything for her, like wanted to, again, save her and everything. But she was doing a lot of drugs, a lot of alcohol. She was the one who cheated on me. And it just kind of said, I would catch her in the bathroom trying to hang herself.
Oh, wow.
And she could like shoot my sister in the head, let's say. But as soon as she started crying, she knew my buttons. And she would just start crying because she knew that I would go, no matter what happened, I would go and console her because that was my worst core wound as a child. Oh, it doesn't even matter what happened. I'm so sorry. How can I help you? And she could have done the worst thing to me. And so it was this emotional roller coaster. And I would continue to choose her, and just dying inside because I'm like, God, this is like so painful. And finally, after she cheated on me and I found out and all this kind of stuff, I finally ended it and we had a conscious unraveling, uncoupling. And I just remember like not wanting to hurt her because I was afraid if I ended up that relationship, she was going to kill herself. She had no friends, no family, doing a lot of drugs and alcohol. I caught her twice or 3 times in the bathroom trying to kill herself. Yeah. So I'm like, this is stacked. Like, there's no way I can like end this relationship.
Right.
But it was like the pot was boiling. It was like, it's you, Emilio, for the first time or nothing. Like, we're going to sack it. You're going to learn your lesson. And so I had to end it. I had to finally choose myself. After like 3,000 times telling myself, I'm going to end this, and I didn't. I finally said enough, did the conscious uncoupling. It was the worst thing. It was horrible. Saw her crying. It was like, you know, she threatened me that she was going to go and end her life, like all the things.
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, it was the biggest blessing because a year and a half later, I saw her at a yoga retreat thing, and she looked so light and so vibrant and so bright. And I gave her a big hug. She looked different. She felt different. She was traveling all the world, had a nice job, had an amazing boyfriend, like just a completely different woman. And I learned something very deep there. And it was 2 things. One, like you talk about beautiful pain, like me hurting her, or me breaking up with her and having her experience that pain was the biggest blessing, not only for her, but for me.
Totally.
Because it enabled her to like go on her journey. And like not be her enabling her. And she had to fall down and pick herself up. And she's like, oh, I can do this. I'm confident. Oh my gosh. And then she feels good about herself and whatever journey she had. And I certainly, in my 2 years, I hit rock bottom after that 2 years. I lost everything in my life. But that's where I found myself. That's where I recreated myself. That's where I loved myself.
Nice.
And found out what loving myself actually meant. And wow, did that feel good to like love myself so much. And so I was a full cup. And the way that I end this is, because I was a full cup for once, I finally started to experience full cup relationships in business, in friendships. Rachel just fell into my lap at that point because like attracts like. And it was just like, oh my gosh. So it was just such a beautiful thing to come to a journey of finally choosing myself, finally loving myself, and how my world completely changed because of that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How long have you guys been together now?
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, taking us through that journey.
Yeah. We've been together for almost 8 years now.
Yeah.
Nice.
Together for 8, married for 3.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Just on the verge of newlyweds. I think isn't 3 the newlywed line? Or is,
Is
it
it?
2?
Maybe. I have no
2
idea.
or 3. It's
Well, I
not.
guess we're coming up on 4, so
Maybe we're coming up on 4.
All right,
Yeah,
well,
we'll
you're
go
old
on.
hat then.
We're
You're
past
old
that.
Just
hat.
crossed
We're
the
past
line
it.
there. Yeah.
That's amazing.
But
Yeah.
I did, for the first time in my life, when we met, it felt like it was a business meeting when we first met. And like immediately I was like, I found you. Like it felt like we had like 10,000 lives together. It felt like I never felt this feeling of like coming home. And during the entire like business meeting, I was just like, I know you deeply. Like it was this unreal, unexplainable feeling.
it was really beautiful because we were having that same experience independently of knowing it. You know, being that my whole life, I never felt sure about a relationship. And I always was like craving and always kind of felt like there's this essence of a person I'm supposed to be with. And the first moment I met him, I was like, oh, you're it. That's
There
it.
it is.
That's
And
amazing.
that was really special.
I called my best friend at the time and said that night and said, I just met my wife.
And I had called my mom the next day
Really?
saying I just met my husband. So it was really beautiful.
Wow.
And obviously
It
that's
doesn't
not,
al- it's always like
that's
that,
not
but like, that
always
was
the
like-
journey,
But
but
you
it
guys
was
have done the work though. So
We had
like you
both
could
been,
meet each
yeah,
other and
in
see
that
that
space.
in
Yes.
your
It was so
and
wild.
I do think, it's important to note that, both of us grew up in very different backgrounds, but we both did grow up with a ton of fear and anxiety for different reasons. And we both did find and start a self-development journey at like 13, both of us individually. And I do think that is pretty rare to start learning those concepts at such a young age. Maybe not for this new coming generation, but for our generation,
Right.
But what's fascinating about that is you both started that journey at 13, 14,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's-
And how long was that journey? Right.
Well, it's
what's-
still going.
Right. Well,
Like,
but how
at
long
least-
was it? How long was it until you could find each other though? That's the point. Until
Yeah.
you got to the
Yeah.
place where you were ready for that type of relationship. And
For sure.
not that it has to take that long.
For
and
sure.
not
Yes.
that
Yeah.
we don't have to put rails or put it in a box
Yeah.
on what it needs to look like.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I think the challenge that a lot of people get into is they hit a place in life and then they start doing the work, right? And then they just expect it to get better.
Overnight
right?
success.
Overnight success.
Yeah.
Because they see us, they see you guys, and they go, well, they did it. I
Yeah.
could do it. It's going to
Yeah.
work for me. And typically what it looks like is kind of what you guys shared, it with how it is for us. I mean, we've been together for 24 years now.
wow.
Congrats. I love
And in that, I can say, like, a lot of the things that you guys went through, we went through the same stuff. We just did it a lot together.
Yeah.
And a lot, like, we
Yeah,
just
yeah.
kind of
getting
like,
dragged behind
Yeah.
the bus.
it's
you
just
know,
me.
instead
Like,
of-
I was a really good
Right.
punching
Yeah.
bag. And like, it was, what was interesting.
Almost a decade. Yeah. All the assholes that were described in the Exodus range, they were all me.
I mean, for,
Let's just put that on the table. All of those versions were me.
Well, I
at
love
different
that.
times
I
in
love
my
that you
life.
said this, and I've heard
That's
you
awesome.
speak about this on another podcast. But one of my other favorite quotes is that to love someone long term is to attend however many funerals of the person they used to be.
yeah.
Yes,
totally,
you actually
totally.
said that better than how I have said it, which was amazing. I'm going to steal that from you.
No, it's not
actually.
even mine. I
Yeah.
heard it somewhere else, and
Yeah, I
I feel
forgot
like
we
they
heard
said
that.
10,000 funerals,
Yeah, yeah,
but whatever
yeah,
that
yeah.
number is,
Yeah.
I do think people have this expectation that you're going to be with someone, and it's just you're both going to not necessarily be the same, but it's really understanding. No, to love someone long term really is
So
to
true.
allow both yourself and the other person to continuously let go of old versions of yourselves that aren't serving you anymore, or just the whole concept of, I think we're here to grow and to expand, and growing and expanding means change.
Yes. I love that. I
100%.
think the way that I said it was when we were together at 21 and 22.
Wow.
Not expecting it, not looking for it. It just was the thing that stuck, right? And so I remember being scared to death to get married. And we were engaged for 4.5 years. We ended up getting married on a reality TV show, which was like the OG of reality shows. I mean, it was like after the first Bachelor was us. That's how long ago this was, right? So it was like a new genre.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was because I was so hesitant to take that leap of getting married that I was scared to death. But all of that to say, I asked everybody that I saw, that I met at a restaurant, that I met in the mall, like anywhere that looked like they'd been together for a while. And I was like, what do I need to know? Like, what are the secrets? How do you have a happy life? And they all, or not all of them, but I remember one saying, be prepared that every 7 to 10 years, you will have a new marriage. And that's what you remember me saying, I think, for my podcast.
Yeah.
And it really sunk in. And I was like, how is that possible? And the idea is that as we pursue growth, we are going to shed those old versions. We're going to become a new person. And you can't hold so tightly to the identity of the one that you had in the other, or the one that you were, that you lose the ability to grow into a new marriage.
Yeah.
And so we've had so many marriages, you know?
Yeah.
Because every
In the last
version of
few
me.
years.
Yeah.
It's been crazy.
Yeah. 3 years. Yeah. Like
Very
it
important.
just, we keep changing and iterating and growing together. And what makes it exciting is instead of being in the fear of the unknown of that, is it's like, stay in the curiosity, which makes it exciting and sexy of like, who you're going to be next. You know what I mean? You guys are actors. Like you get to have different roles. I'm like, who you going to be next?
Well,
you know, like it's exciting.
I'm so glad you said that though too, because I think some people watching may feel like, oh my God, they're scared of the change, and they're like, oh my gosh, like fearful maybe potentially of that change. But I'm very much resonant with what you said. Like I actually love practicing this, you know, daily, weekly, whatever it is, of like just having this mantra of like I don't ever want to get tired. And this goes with like Rachel and I, but also like friendships, like you guys. I don't ever want to like put you in a box like, oh, this couple is like this, and this is who they are.
Yes.
Like Rachel's like this is who she is. It's like I always want to ask myself like, what am I not seeing? You know, I don't want to have this like constant just reality. Oh, this is how he is. This is who he is. This is what he does. And it's like, no, we're changing like every day, every week, every month. And so I think it is a beautiful way to like see something of like excitement, sexy, but also just like on the daily, like asking like, what am I not seeing right now? That could be like so beautiful, right? Because
Totally.
we can get in our heads about it.
That's
I think it's really
curiosity.
cool, you know, the curiosity.
What would
that you
be
said.
some phrases that we could come up with to help the audience to be able to put that into practice? Like, I love having these little scripts, right? That drop in kind of as mantras.
So helpful.
Yeah.
I love like what's coming up for you recently.
Yeah.
That would be something that we could ask our beloved, our friend, our business partner,
Yes.
just to like open the door to anything for possibility.
totally.
That would be one. Or
I like what are the whispers inside of you? Like I think we're always getting whispers, whether God, source, universe, whatever you want to call it. Like these whispers, and I think if you don't listen to them, they come into roars, and then they can come into like a life event that has to crack you open, like my rock bottom.
Totally.
But like I'm like, what are your whispers right now?
Oh,
Like,
I love
think that's
that.
great.
I might steal
I like
that from
that.
you. If I remembered it, I would
It's
totally
all for
steal it.
everybody.
Yeah.
You'll watch
That's
the
really
replay
good.
of this and
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yes.
remember it.
I also really love what parts of you are you letting go of? Or some version of that question. Because I do think, every new chapter of life is asking for a new version of us. And there's all these different old parts of us that maybe, and especially in conversation with friends or safe spaces, it's so beautiful to be able to talk about those things. One, to help release them and to feel seen in a process that might a lot of times feels hard and uncomfortable.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
You guys are amazing.
I'm
so
so
glad to
yeah.
do this today. I like we had new friends.
Yeah.
New friends. I'm like, come down to the Dominican and hang out with us.
Yes,
Yes.
please.
Let's
I
go.
want that so
Yeah.
bad.
I was telling her on the way over here, like when I was watching some of your stuff, you could just tell when someone's like done the work and it really not just knowing it up here, but like embodying it and really being integrated with a lot of stuff. Like immediately, just like within seconds and then minutes of like any podcast that I was watching of you all, I just there's just like that resonance and this presence that you guys have. So when we were coming up here, I was like, I'm so excited to have this conversation.
Yeah.
Or anybody who is like that and continuing the journey. It's just like that's like everything to me. Like just really good conversations, like by the fire or whatever it may be. Just like, so anyway, I'm enjoying this and thank you guys.
Ditto.
Ditto.
So I got to ask this. This is coming up for me.
And that means a lot, by the
Totally,
way.
totally,
Yeah, that means a
totally.
lot.
And it's big because we've gone through it, right? Like it's been a ride, you know.
Well, it's felt,
and you know, but I'm so grateful for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I've had guys come up to me and hear the story and be like, "How could you forgive? How could like?"
Totally.
And I look at it and like, it was 2 nights ago. She was looking at me.
You're going to tell that story.
2 nights ago, she was looking at me and she's like, it just came out of her. She's like, "I love you like we're new." And I literally like started crying. I'm like, what are you, like, this is insane.
That's beautiful.
You know, and I'm like,
wow,
we're here. Like, you know, we're not there, right? Like, but in this moment,
yes.
it's pretty crazy
I love
to
that.
see like how it can get, you know, to these places. And so many people like just ask and they're like, "How have you gotten there?" And it's like, it's the hardest thing. It was the most work, but it's the most worth it. You know,
Yes.
like good things take.
We literally
yes,
had a very
they
similar
can.
experience
Yeah.
just the other day where I was
Yeah.
like, we were both like holding each other's faces and being like, wow, this version of you. Like,
I know.
I feel because we have had a lot
It's
of
awesome.
like, especially for me, but both of us the past several months, especially leading up to the actual new year, which is coming up. That hasn't happened yet. Just a lot of shedding, like a lot of hard, uncomfortable conversation after uncomfortable conversation, opportunity for growth after opportunity for growth. And to the point where I'm like, I don't know if I can do
Can't
this
take anymore.
like, please. But in those moments, it really is the thing that makes you be like, holy fuck, I'm so grateful. Like, I'm so grateful to have a partner that can sit with me in this, that can see that we can talk about these things and create safe spaces, even though it feels so hard and uncomfortable. And sometimes there's yelling and sometimes there's recalibration, you know, but like we talk about often that we used to say triggers all the time. And I'm working on this concept that a dear friend and therapist had taught me to start saying activated instead.
Activated. Cool.
Because he's like,
that.
even in the psychology of saying triggered, you're automatically, it's like you triggered me, right?
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
though
It's like a
negative
we
kind of power
know,
away
right?
to
It's
you,
like,
too.
Give the power away.
it's actually like I'm activated. It's something that
Yeah.
obviously you might have said or done,
love
but like
that.
I'm activated. And so anytime this feeling of feeling activated, it's really just this incredible gift wrapped in really ugly wrapping paper.
Yes.
And sometimes it just feels like you're going through hell, like unwrapping this like wrapping paper.
Yeah.
But then the gift is always there. And another dear friend had said something to the effect of like, never miss an opportunity to find a treasure. Like never throw away a trigger because you'll miss the treasure. And I really love, I think that's what helps me when I'm in the hardest of the hard is just like getting to a place where I'm like, okay, this sucks, but thank you, God. Like, I know this is for me. I know this is how like, help me find the gift, help me find the gift, like, help me find the gift, help me focus on the gift. Because I also think the more we visualize, sometimes when we're in the ick of it all, your thoughts can stay there, right?
Yeah.
They can ruminate down. Like, what if this never gets fixed? What if all hell breaks loose? What if it doesn't? Okay. What if la, 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 la. And I think the more I've been able to master my focus of envisioning the future desire of the coming together, the healing, the gift, and the deeper connection I know is on the other side, that really does help when you're in the pain.
That's so good.
Do you want to go?
Always. Can I say one? Can I say one thing?
All at the same time.
All at the same time?
Create some harmony with each other.
Go ahead. Go.
I was just going to comment on a little teeny
ahead.
tiny thing, and then you can totally
Yeah.
take it.
Yeah.
Is I love that you grabbed his face and said, "I love this version of you." It gave me the chills because we were so often shown, and it's not our parents' fault. I'm just naming that out there. Like, it's not anyone's fault, but I feel like the last generation. And maybe and before and beyond from a place of need was like, I choose you. And that was a permanent thing.
Yeah.
And it never morphed into how many other versions of you might there be.
Yes.
And so we never were taught that.
Yes.
So even that languaging is such a pass for people to be like, oh, an invitation to acknowledge and to recognize and to
Yes.
invite the versions of you that are there. And this like generational waves and ripples that are coming from that.
that's so
So that's
cool.
just so yummy. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
And on
absolutely.
that, it's like if you think about technology, how fast it's evolving, right? And,
Yeah.
and like for thousands and thousands of years, people were in relationships, and the world moves so slowly. So I think people change slower as well because it was
Yeah.
Same old, same old.
Yes.
We live in a
Right.
world right now
Yeah.
where the world around us changes so fast that we're naturally going to change faster. Like our
Yes.
individual
a good
growth
point.
is
So
is
true.
so impacted by the fact that we all have access to so much more information.
Yeah.
And our ability to process that and grow is going to happen. So naturally,
Yes.
we have to be willing to operate in that container a little
Yeah.
bit more. Otherwise, it's a
Right.
recipe for disaster.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so true.
And so my question, I'm going to see if I can frame it. 'Cause
Before I
kinda-
hijack
kinda
it.
lost
I
kinda
think
lost
I
it.
did too.
But
It's
it really,
totally fine.
I asked one of the big things for me is like people, when they were saying like, how do you forgive? And I go, I haven't just forgiven, I've become grateful,
Yeah.
right, for it.
Yes.
Because I look at where we are now and I go, wow, if it weren't for those things, I wouldn't have become the man that I am, and we wouldn't be where we are. We wouldn't have what we have, and I can't imagine my life without this. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so, with that said, like what would you guys say? Like I always say, for us, we have a shared, I don't know, vision, destination, even though we don't know where the destination is, right? And it's this moving target, and it's this, but it's a vision, really, more of a shared kind of reality that we want to work towards, and that shared vision is what's held us together. You know what I mean? And
so
so,
beautiful.
but we also have to have these like really hard conversations, and sometimes you go through really hard periods of time,
Yes.
right? She calls them chapters of life,
Yeah,
right?
I say
And so,
chapters. too.
Chapters.
you know,
Yeah, we
so
say
the,
that, yeah.
the chapters of life, and,
Yeah, totally.
and as you go through that, so it really comes down to like where we are now. It's easy for people to look at us, you guys, people in our types of relationships where we've gone through it and we've done the work, and we're going to continue to do so, right?
Yeah.
Like that's just part of it. But it's also easier for us to work within this construct now because there's more trust, and the embodiment comes from the fact that our nervous systems are regulated because we've been through it. When we first started the journey, it was hard,
Yeah.
Totally.
really stressful, challenging fights with ourselves, fights with our partners, it battles, sleepless nights, lots of stress, lots of anxiety, like just navigating it. And then as you build and you start to trust yourself more, and you start to trust your partner more, you start to embody it more, your nervous system regulates, there's more trust, and it becomes this up spiral. It becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy that you can get through anything. And when you get to that place, you go, you're always safe.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so I don't know. What do you like?
What's the question?
I don't know. I don't know. That came out. That was just you guys inspired that. I was thinking that. You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
Yeah.
I, yes,
Bridge,
yeah,
'cause
I
Yeah.
do. Yeah, I do
go
feel
ahead.
like I have something from that. I think
Yeah.
part of that question was like, what do people do when they're in the beginning?
Yeah,
kind of a
that's
thing.
it.
Is
That's
like
where I was going. Yeah.
that hard part where you haven't, because I do think there's something to what you said of after you've been through a certain amount of hard things together, you really start to feel safer in those hard things because like, okay, we've been through hard things before, we can get through hard things again. But I will say sometimes even every new hard thing can sometimes feel like even bigger and crazier and harder.
Sure.
So of course fear and anxiety can still come up, but I do think there's this form of stacking of past safeties in the hard.
Yeah.
I think if you haven't experienced that yet, like, when we first got together, and I literally every part of my body, my whole wiring was, and I talked about, I had a hard time being honest in relationships in the past.
Yeah.
Right. So it took me a very long time to get to the root of why it was so hard for me to be honest in relationships, especially with men, especially because I thought I was an honest person. I was like, wait, why do I keep ending up in these lies? Like, why? I literally was like a default pattern that my system would feel this anxiety that someone would say something, and then I would just like, it would come out of me like some lie or untruth to like just because I was so deeply craving the love from that other person. I was so scared if I told them how I really felt that they wouldn't love me anymore.
Yep.
And I realized through a lot of deep inner work that the root of that, because I think it's important to find the root of that problem before you can really start to unravel where it came from and how to heal it and process it and release it, was I grew up in a home with a very strict religion, and I never really felt safe telling my father the truth. And my father being the first imprint of my model for my relationships with men. And I was like, oh, when I figured that out, I was like, oh, it makes so much sense. Like I was able to have more grace for myself because I was like, well, yeah, this pattern makes sense. I've been practicing ever since I was like 6 years old, probably. Yeah. And so once I found the root, so I do think people listening, I do think like dig deep and really try and find where the root is of where that pattern and behavior came from.
Love that.
And then give that little part of you a shit ton of grace and a shit ton of love, because they were just doing the best they knew how to do in that moment. And once we give that little part of us that, by the way, is still stuck at that age, like whatever trauma we went through, like we're stuck there. And that's why our behaviors and patterns feel like you're still in that age, because that part of you is. Yeah. And so giving myself love and grace and forgiving myself for all the times I did lie in the past in relationships when I really didn't want to. I just was so scared to tell the truth. And forgiving my father as well. And not just, here's the part, I love that you brought this up about, I didn't just forgive her, I'm so grateful for the experience. Because I do think true forgiveness is only really, really real forgiveness when we can have so much gratitude for the experience.
Totally.
Because we have found the gift in it. We actually went through a whole process called 40 Years of Zen, where the whole week was literally that, like a bunch of forgiveness work, but not just any kind of forgiveness work. It was like, can you get to a point where you're blissed out in gratitude for the hardest things in your life? So it's not just forgiveness; it's full body gratitude. Yeah. So, anyways,
I love that.
This is a long-winded answer, but I think it's really important because when we got together, I was like, okay, I healed that part of me. I know that I can be honest in relationships now, and I know the pain. It become a superpower because I was like, I know the pain that not being honest leads to, and it leads to blowout fights. It leads to getting caught in a web of lies. It leads to just terrible pain. And so it was like, now I'm more scared to lie than I am to tell the truth. And so now it became a superpower. So when you then find my absolute person, fall so hard, so fast, this is my everything I wanted for so long. And then I'm positioned with, here's your opportunity. Did you learn the lesson or did you not? And it's a situation where I'm so scared to tell him, oh shit, I'm so in love with you, but I also have this role and this is my career and I have to do this intimate scene with a guy. And every part of me in past would have just been like, not told the guy. I would have kind of hid it or made it seem like it wasn't as big of a deal as it was. Oh. And I remember shaking, and this wasn't the only thing I had to be honest about. There was something else that was like my hardest wound, biggest trauma that I don't talk about publicly because it was so hard for me. And I knew I also had to tell him that because I was like, I can't hide that. I can't hide that truth. And both experiences was this feeling of like shaking, literally feeling so scared. I feel like I wanted to throw up. Wow. And I eventually, especially with that deepest, hardest truth that I told him, every part of me was like, if I tell you this, I feel like you're going to leave me. And when I did, in my tears and shaking, I told him, and he looked at me and he said, thank you so much for telling me. I love you even more now. And I just sobbed and he just held me and we just cried together. And it was the most healing moment. Like it was the most healing moment maybe of my life at that point. Especially, not just the film experience was a little bit different, but it was still very like a version of that. And this experience was a heightened version of that. But anyways, I do think if I would have lied, it would have been a completely different experience. We wouldn't be here right now. We wouldn't be here right now. And not even just lied, but like hid a truth. Cause I think in your mind, you can justify things. And I think it's just important. So I do think there is a bit of a, like, you have to break a pattern, and you have to break a pattern, not for what the person is doing. I was doing that for me.
I gotta ask too. I don't know, everybody watching this, the thing that's happening for me right now is I'm hearing you, share this journey of your core wound and going through this with him. That expression was naturally triggering maybe your core wound because she's breaking down. You're seeing her cry. That's your big thing. So what was that like for you?
Yeah, great question.
Right. Well, at that point, I had already healed that part of myself. Okay. So at that point, it was integrated. I had integrated everything that I needed to learn from that experience. So at that point, I was integrated enough to just like healing is not words. Healing is resonance. Yeah. Healing is presence, especially for the masculine, right? So like me just like breathing with her and looking at her and holding her.
Was there a moment for you though in that where you were like, you noticed your
Well,
feeling,
yeah,
and you were
well,
in like observance of your own situation, and like
how different
Well,
it was.
I guess,
and like almost a gratitude, being like, wow, like, I mean, think about all the healing you did, put you in that moment, and it allowed you, and your healing helped heal her in that way.
Yes, yeah, and now I'm really going back there because I want to look. I'm trying to go really back there to.
And I think,
think
babe,
about
I
all the
think you
details.
should answer from both questions, because one was more of a also triggering a past experience with you with like the film sets and the intimate scenes and the feeling like, oh,
For sure.
this felt like a similar experience of the woman that cheated on me in the past. And then also when I shared a trauma that I went through, because I think that there were two different situations and probably two different experientions for you to talk
Yeah,
through.
I love this.
Since we're on this one, I'll start off with this one. So we were in our room on the floor. I guess initially, we're human.
This was
so
the trauma
I
one.
was, I guess, activated, not necessarily activated. There was some fear that initially came up.
Sure.
Because like before she had said the thing, she's trying to say it, right? And it took her like 10, 15 minutes to try to say it.
Yeah.
So, us as human, right? The number one human impediment is that we live in our heads, constant ego-centered. I'm not good enough. I don't have enough. I'm better than, like all these things that go on our heads. We're creating stories. We fuse to that story and emotions arise from that story, like just what we do, right? As humans. And so when she's like, I need to tell you something and I don't know how to say this. And,
You're like, building a story.
So I'm building,
Yeah,
I'm
you're
like,
building
oh
a
my
story.
God. Is this about to be an atomic bomb on our
Yeah,
relationship?
exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
so I'm going through story, so naturally, I'm like, I know what to do. I just need to breathe, remove the story as fast as I can, be here with her, listen, like everything that like the tools and things that I've learned. But naturally, I'm still human, and so I'm like, there's some fear coming up, there's anxiety coming up, there's like stories coming up, and I'm like, oh shit, like, okay, she just cheated on me, and then this happened, and then blah, 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 and whatever it was, just all the stories.
Yeah.
So I was fighting that probably for 15 minutes just in my head, trying to do my best to throw it away, be present, throw it away, be present, all good, no judgment, be present, like whatever it is it's supposed to be, and I'm going to breathe through this, and I'm going to be okay. I've gone through hard stuff. Here we are. This is it. Here we are. You know what I mean?
Again.
Like, here we go.
That's good work, though. Already.
Yeah, I mean, just to be able to do
get
that
there
is a big deal.
big
Oh, for
work.
sure.
Yeah.
Just like, So then she said it, because this is one thing that I don't know. We always say things publicly, but I don't know about this one. But she said it, and then a part of me was relieved on certain stories that I was fusing to, that I thought it was, but it was still a bomb,
thing.
a big thing. But because of the tools and practices, because I had like what I was doing a lot was not only making sure like it was flow, just breathing, like just fluidly, like where it was just constant, no holding my breath. And because I wanted to really get into heart coherence, like really come from and really just like sending her love, because I could tell that this was a hard thing for her to do. And I was like, I always want to see people differently, especially if they're sharing something. I want to see like the gold in it. Like, I'm like, this must be really hard for her. She is like super brave right now. Wow. She's like a higher love, a higher experience. She wants a higher love because she's doing this. Like, so it was like sharing, like kind of thinking about all those things. So by the time she finished, I had built up such a reserve of like love that no matter what my mind was saying, I immediately wanted to let this out first.
Yeah.
Even though there's certain things that might have been trickling in there, that
But
it was
she was
like
gonna
this
feel
first,
this.
this is all that matters.
Yes.
I'm going to die, whatever. None of this is going to matter. Like, I'm just like, okay, that was that. And then when she like started to like really start to receive that and cry even more because of how I responded, then on the flip side, it was very beautiful and confirming like, Emilio, like you're doing the work, like you sort of passed the test. Like, this is it. This is where you up leveled. You can feel the energetic up level, not only like with her, with me, but then within our biosphere together as a relationship, which ultimately is what matters.
For sure.
And so it was just all the things all at once of like my human side, my higher self, the biosphere, feeling the energetic upgrade, and then proud of myself for doing that, because I didn't always do that.
For sure.
That's not me, guys, all the time. Like, like, but like, so at that point it was like, yes, Emilio, like, and loving myself for that. And then, the other stuff I could just like process later on, and it wasn't that big of a deal because of how I embraced that situation. And then what the fruits that came from that. And the fruits overrode anything that my mind might have created. Those fruits and the lovingness and her nervous system changing in real time that vibrated so beautifully, like throughout the relationship, moment by moment, minute by minute, day by day, week by week after that, then it was just like, no, that was the right thing to do. Keep doing that. This is what happens when you show up with love.
And you build trust for yourself
Yes.
in response that way.
Exactly.
Right?
So that was a really wonderful, beautiful experience
That's amazing.
that could have been a blowout. But if we chose differently, because I chose differently, is always going to be that deeper connection if you allow it to be.
It's one of those tipping points, right?
Tipping points for sure. Yeah.
It's
And
cool.
for both of you, you know, I mean, your nervous system was literally rewired in that
Totally.
moment. That
So much
honesty
so.
is
Yes.
safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you gave her that gift because of your work. Like,
Yeah.
wow. I mean, that's it.
powerful.
That's like, it doesn't get bigger than that.
Episode over.
Episode
Lesson learned. Here we go. No, I mean, like,
Mic drop. Mic drop.
And I will
Yeah.
say for people listening, I think it's really important what we had talked about, like making the commitment to do it for you, because
Yes.
there are times when you might make that brave decision and you're like, I'm learning my lesson, I'm breaking the pattern, and the other person might not be ready. It might not be there yet.
Right.
And then it's this awareness of, okay, but then that person really wasn't for me. And it's really having that faith or that experience. Like the lesson wasn't, because I've also had experiences where I've done the hard thing and made the brave conversation and it didn't go well.
Yeah, of
like,
course.
And so I think it's also there's lessons and gifts in those two.
I love that.
And so I think it's really important, because I definitely don't want to give people the assumption that like anytime you make
Thank you
the
for
brave
saying that.
choice,
Yeah.
your life gets better.
Well,
you know?
Totally.
Thank you for saying that. I mean,
Yeah.
in the
Yeah,
work
that's
that we
so
do
good.
with couples,
Totally.
we just had a couple come down to our retreat center and do ayahuasca. And the goal was to work through their own stuff.
Yes.
And you know, in this, and this is what we did. Like when we went down and worked with ayahuasca, which was the process that helped us reconnect. It wasn't to fix each other. It wasn't to fix our relationship, and it wasn't to fix each other. It was us going down together, but independently.
Yeah.
At the same time, I was working on me, she was working on her, and it was kind of through this lens of, we want it to work, and if it doesn't work, like the only thing that matters is her becoming her best version of herself, and me becoming the best version of myself that I can become.
Yes.
And it takes two, you know,
Yeah.
like you have to both be on the path. Otherwise, you will grow apart. Otherwise, and so, you know, it's not always going to work out. But the great part about it is no matter how you feel right now, no matter how anybody's feeling in this moment, it can feel really heavy. You could be scared about the relationship being lost. You could be scared about what the rest of your life looks like. You don't have a vision. You don't feel safe. You know, a lot of times when relationships are intertwined, you're like, what am I going to do with the house and and all the stuff and the money and the assets and
the friends and
the friends? It's crazy, right? But like,
Yeah.
all I can say is like, when you do the work, all of that resolves itself, and you don't. The current version of you can't understand what it's going to be like once you get there, and so just do the work.
Yeah.
Just do the work.
And you were referring to the couple that just came down. Well, just the idea that when you do the work individually for your own self-improvement, you have to detach from the outcome, as you were saying.
Yeah.
Because we're not in control of how they're going to respond
For sure.
to our truth, to our, our growth and whoever we can be as the best of us in that moment. And the win is potentially sometimes the conscious uncoupling, as you mentioned.
Totally.
And so, as this couple was working with us, we were like, you do you and your lane and be the best version of you that you can be. And the same for the other.
Totally.
And if you happen to find alignment as you each elevate into your new versions, then cool, like reignite and shake hands again and be like, who are you? Like, let's meet from this place. But let the old version of you die. Just let it go. The old relationship, like sometimes that has to go too.
Yeah.
And that's the other work that we just did. But it's all about your beautiful reminder. Like, it ain't going to go the way that you want all the time. Even if you do the brave thing. Like I can hear my kids coming home and being like, well, I spoke up or I punched the bully like you told me to. And we're like, cool, what happened? And they're like, I got a bloody nose. Right?
Totally.
Life happens and it's not always pretty. But the win, like I love to redefine the win. So like when I was doing pageant coaching, it was like talking to the girls and going, it's not about the crown landing on your head or not. It's about going into this situation, whether it be a relationship deal or a pageant or a big business, potential negotiation or whatever you're doing. and renegotiating to redefine what the win is or the success metric, right?
Yes.
So
I love that.
if I define my success metric as I'm going to advocate for me, and what I heard in both of your stories is that you guys showed up and you were like, the win here is, or the success metric here is, I advocate for me no matter what.
Yes,
Then
yes.
it doesn't matter what they do or what happens on the exterior.
Yeah.
I get to decide what my win is. And there's so much power that is taken back in that.
Yes.
Like
Yes,
now
so good.
49 out of the 50 girls get to leave knowing that they win because
Yes.
they chose their own success metric.
Yes.
Like that just gives me the chills. Like
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
so
So
excited
big.
that we
Yeah.
get to do that for ourselves,
So big.
right?
Yes.
There's a quote that went along right with this
love
that
that.
said, when experience becomes the success, like everything in life gets easier, right? When the success metric is I'm here to experience this experience, whatever that is, whether it's hard,
Just to experience it.
amazing, beautiful,
Right.
ugly, messy, but like I'm just, because ultimately we are like, this life is so short.
Yeah.
Like it's so short, and it goes like any single person. I think some of the best work I've ever done is work in nursing homes or working with people, like talking to people at the end of life, and really understanding also how fast it's felt. Like I felt like I could think about 10 seconds ago and I was like, oh, I was 16, like it just how fast, and it's going to feel the same experience. All of a sudden we're going to wake up and we're like 80, like it's going to go so fast. And I feel this deeply because when so much of my life, my success metric was getting the big job or like doing the big thing and looking
the big role.
amazing and like
Yes.
getting the success of maybe what society would put on it.
Right.
I feel like I missed out on a lot of my life because I wasn't present. Because when you're constantly trying to achieve or prove yourself, not all of you is there for the experience.
Totally.
And when I feel like, especially this year, my whole like intention for this year was like, I just really want to be so present for my life. Like I want to enjoy every moment, even if it's messy, even if it's ugly, because like I literally don't know. I might not be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
And like if I didn't somehow find a way to enjoy right now, I feel like I really missed the mark.
I love that. There's deep wisdom
Amazing.
too. There's
Yeah.
in the conversation of like, what if the entire purpose of this life is just to experience this life?
Yeah.
What if? And it's like,
Yeah.
it sounds really simple because
Yes.
we hear
Yeah.
it as cliches.
Yes.
We hear it as like presence and mindfulness and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But if we really actually think about it, if there was nothing else we had to accomplish,
just
and
Yeah.
our soul is going to get to the end and be like,
Yeah.
how intensely did you feel? Did you
Totally.
experience this human thing that you
Yeah.
jumped into?
Yes.
That's our win.
Yes. Well,
Nailed it.
Which
I love
honestly,
that you
that
said
might-
that because
that
like,
might honestly change my life. But yeah,
Yeah.
continue on.
totally.
Well, so, oh my gosh, so many things to say. But I guess the last thing you said was, I think that's so big because I think a lot of people right now, because our mission at Relationship Renegades is to co-create a world where healthy, happy, harmonious relationships are the new norm.
Yeah.
And so when and it's not also about like fighting the collective unconscious or changing I think a big part of our mission too is like, if this is a dark room and you're like, a lot of people are like trying to fight the dark or fight the evil or whatever it may be out there within themselves or out externally outside of them. It's like, well, how do you go from a dark room to the light room that we are in right now? You just turn on the switch, right? Like you just shine brighter, right? Like you just become light. And I think a big part of like us helping change that collective consciousness that is society is to experience. Like if all of us out there truly just experienced life and allowed ourselves to truly experience, I think that's what creates that upward spiral that you were talking about. Yeah. Because I think so many people, including myself at times, are scared to feel and experience, right? Where the shadows, the things we hide, suppress, and deny, and Netflix and chill, right? Like like feeling, as Dr. Joe Dispenza would say, like feeling creates destiny, and a lot of us don't want to feel. And I think when we can just feel and just experience, that alone rewires the nervous system. Like you were talking about nervous system earlier, like nervous system change is what truly, I think, grows the relationship, upgrades the relationship, creates that upward spiral in life. And I think like if there's one thing that we could all do, or if it's like, well, what's the one thing? It's like to feel, to experience it, and to be like, to create that safe container with you, to just feel and experience, and that's it. Because when you allow that energy to pass through you, the nervous system changes. And it's like one of the hardest things, but also it could be like the simplest thing, but also the hardest thing. But like, I think it's so beautiful that we're talking about experience, because I think people are scared to experience, including myself sometimes. But I don't know. I think there's just something so beautiful there.
Totally.
You know?
And that's
Yeah.
such a practice too. That's
100%.
not,
Yeah, it's a
that's
practice,
not
yeah.
like just
Yeah.
do it once
Yeah.
and all of a
Oh.
sudden you're going to be good. You know,
Yeah.
there's no instruction manual.
Totally.
Just knowing that. I mean, I guess I would, if someone said, well, how do you begin to do that?
Yeah.
It would be just knowing that you're safe, knowing that feelings aren't facts and that they're not
Yes.
going to kill you. They don't
Yeah.
have the power to hurt you
Yeah. It's just
unless you
energy.
try to hold on to them.
Yes.
You're supposed to let them flow,
Yeah.
right? Because they're
Yeah.
energy.
Well,
Yeah,
and one of the things that has
You
helped
know?
me the most is reframing how I look at emotions or feelings, thinking about them just like how you think about how when you're driving a car, you get a gas light that's like, hey, pay attention. Hey, you better go do something about this. And if you don't, your car's not going to work anymore.
You're going to be on the side of the
So
road.
same
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
with
yeah,
emotions,
totally.
Yes.
like really reframing. I used to always frame like, oh, sadness or anger is bad, you know, and only happiness and gratitude is good.
Yeah.
And like that's so dangerous. Like it's so dangerous to do that. So like
Yeah,
really
yeah.
learning how to reframe it and be like, no, all emotions are good. They're all
Yeah.
welcome. It's all a part of life. And if you cut off either side, you're really missing a huge part of what life is. And I'm only able to experience this incredible depth of gratitude and appreciation for him and our relationship only because I went through the exact opposite.
That's awesome.
Only because I had so
Totally.
much
Same.
pain and anger and sadness and rage and trauma in my other relationships can I really grasp and get to on a daily basis to a point of tears just because I'm so grateful. And so you can't, it's not good or bad. It's just is.
Yeah.
And they're just indicators saying like, hey, pay attention. Hey, I'm here. Hey, like
Yeah.
help me do something, you know, feel me, basically
Yeah.
feel me,
Feel me.
feel me.
Yeah.
Like just,
Oh, this is so amazing. I love that. I feel like there's been so much.
Of course
I feel like I feel like we jammed like 8 episodes worth of stuff. Maybe like an
I
hour
have an
and a half.
idea. How about we
Yeah.
do a second? How about we stop it here for a moment because you guys you're amazing and brilliant and thank you so much for sharing all of this. And you've set the stage so well about what we want and the aspirations. I feel like if the audience is listening to each one of you going, oh, I want to learn how to do that. And I want to learn how to do that. And I want to, that's what I would be thinking if I were listening to you. So how about we do this? How about, because this has been a long chit chat and we could go on for hours, we do a little pause.
We're gonna have to do more.
And then we do another episode where we get into what your practice is actually, what your program is, and how you're walking through people into the activation. I don't think that was a sentence that made sense, but you guys,
No, yeah, totally. Yeah,
yeah.
maybe we'll move into next, like showing us what's happening in your world and how other people can plug in to learn to do for themselves what
Yes.
you're sharing. Does that sound
Yeah.
cool?
Sounds great.
That
Yeah.
sounds awesome.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's
Okay.
do it. All right. All right, guys. See you.